Welcome back to CSE 420. We will conduct a brief item analysis of our the first attempt of our Module 3 assessment. Basically, like most module assessments, 5 points were possible. There were 13 questions. The average score was a 4. That's a strong showing. So if you convert that to a percentage, that's 80%. The class average was an 80%. In terms of discrimination, there were only a few questions where all the students answered in an identical manner. Either they all got it right or they all got it wrong, which, again, throws a curve at the Blackboard algorithm. 4 questions were considered difficult. 4 were considered easy, 8 were considered medium difficulty, and 1 was considered hard in terms of difficulty. So that's a fair mix. At least we had one hard one and we didn't have too many easies. So there you have it. What I'd like to do is run down the line until we get to the cannot calculates, and then we'll continue on through other items that were a challenge. These 2 items, students all answered correctly. And these 2 items, all students answered correctly. We'll review all the rest. So true, false. All adaptive SE models incorporate selected principles and values from the Agile Manifesto. Therefore, all adaptive SE models are considered one flavor of Agile or another, a variant. That answer is true. Is anyone surprised by that outcome?
I am because I looked into the study guide. I remember it was saying different flavors and other variants rather than singular. That's why I chose false.
Oh, well, I thought I made a similar statement in the study guide where I said that, and I even stated in class, it's the principles of the Agile Manifesto that are present in every one of the models in some form or fashion. But that doesn't mean that all the models work the same. I said something like that. So, when you talk about adaptive SE models, those are the newer, new and improved, right? Oh, you're saying are considered one flavor? So it's the word one that poses a problem?
Yeah, I think in the study guide I saw something that said different flavors, not just one. That's how I interpreted. And then it said other variants and not one variant.
Did anyone else think the same?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. If you remind me, we'll change the score on this as soon as we're finished with the review, okay? I see that now. So I could word it, therefore, all adaptive SE models are considered one flavor or another of the Agile concept. So I can tweak the wording, revise the wording. In the final version of the assessment, we'll make sure that's clear, okay? And just remind me as soon as we finish, I'll grab this item and then change the score, and it'll automatically refactor everybody's score. If you answered false for this question, you do not have to reconcile it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, a multiple choice question proved a challenge for students. Brian Lunduk, a presenter at Linux Fest Northwest who advocates peers should have courage, recently related that bad features happen when, and yes, if you caught a glimpse of that video, he said good coders do nothing. So that's in the references or resources folder of the module 3 resources. So his appeal, he's quite a character. He had all sorts of jokes to tell, and there was a lot of you could tell that at the Linux Fest Northwest that there were a lot of insider jokes playing out in that presentation. If you haven't caught a glimpse of it, you should check it out. Another true false that created a challenge for students. It reads, one value of the Agile Manifesto stresses the importance of process and tools over individual and interaction. That's not an accurate statement. So if you look at the Agile Manifesto, I think it states individuals and interactions over process and tools. It's the reverse of that. Any questions about this one?
No questions.
Okay. This one's titled Management Paradigm. Which adaptive SE model offers a structured project management paradigm that would be most familiar to financial and business management stakeholders during solution development? That's feature-driven development. This is also the SE model that's well suited for large development teams where there's a traditional hierarchy. So in most cases, Agile is not an ideal environment for programmers who are hung up on what level coder they are. Well, you know, oh, you're a level 2 coder. I'm a level 4 coder. Why are you telling me I should change my module? You know, when you get to be a level 4 coder, maybe you'll understand, you know, that kind of stuff. That's not consistent with most agile models, but the feature-driven development model in particular is ideally suited for large programming teams, and there's usually some kind of hierarchy about, you know, who's the lead for this component development, who's the lead for the back-end development, that kind of thing. And that's because you have very large teams. All right. I think what we're going to do is skip over these. Everybody got these correct. Let's take a closer look at this multiple choice item. Which two components are common to all adaptive SE models? Test-driven development and user stories to validate requirements. We're talking about the requirements engineering piece that's common to any software engineering method, whether it's legacy planning and documentation model or it's an adaptive agile model. So this is a bogus answer here. The customer is not always right. That's one of Walmart's slogans, I think. Has anyone here ever worked at Walmart? I mean,
I have not.
yeah. I don't think we have a Walmart anywhere near the territory. Do they have Walmarts in Puerto Rico?
Yes, I believe so.
I
Yeah,
think
they
so.
do.
Oh, well, that would be a trip. Here are two more. This multiple choice question reads, regular delivery, not good for superior coders. Which adaptive SE model is known for regular delivery of working software? Hint, it is also an environment where members of the team are considered equals, which is not favored by some senior level programmers who view themselves as superior. In such a case, if a team of programmers had to work with an agile method and there were senior level programmers who viewed themselves as superior, I think feature driven development might be a better fit for that if they had to do an agile model. The answer is Scrum. Which adaptive SE model drops specifications when clarity is not possible? In other words, they're lean, mean fighting machines, right? And it's not a good match for fickle customers who change their mind all the time. Lean would be the model that we're looking for. Okay, we have two more to go and we're done. I made a big point of talking about Yagni and saying that you could easily get misled about the acronym Yagni. Can anyone recall what the acronym stands for? YAGNI? Okay, let's give you a hint. Or maybe that was too obvious a question and nobody wanted to answer because it's like, oh, it's right there on the screen. You ain't gonna need it. So it is sometimes a trick. People remember how ruthlessly efficient lean is, and they think that Yagni is associated with lean, but that's not the case. It's extreme programming. Any questions? Our last review question. True, false, given the variety and effectiveness of new adaptive SE models, all other SE models are obsolete and outdated. That is false. Many legacy planning and documentation models are still in use, in particular SDLC with government. So that concludes our item analysis. I will post the reconciliation after class today. Please reconcile any errors or gaps on your first trial as soon as possible. And we will post the module 2 assessment soon if we haven't already. Did I post that already? No. Okay. We'll post the retake of the module 2 assessment. And after you reconcile the module 3, we can post the module 3 final attempt. Any questions?
None for me.
So each of you were asked to complete your preference form. And now we want to use it to do something like speed dating. Each of you have different answers in each one of these quadrants. What we want to do is break you out into 2 small groups and then rotate until everybody's been with everybody else. So essentially, it's 3 rounds. So there will be 3 rounds of detail exchanged. And what we're going to do is stop the recording. And I'm going to set up breakout rooms. And what we'll do is pair up the ladies and the guys in 2 separate breakout rooms. And what are you going to do in the breakout rooms? Each of you are going to take turns sharing your screen. You're going to talk through the first quadrant. I call this this block the quadrant, right? So you're going to share your answers for the first criteria here. And the goal is to try to convince the peer you're with that yours is better. Let me say that again. You're going to want to spend some time sharing your preference in terms of software engineering methods, right? Which type? You want to use a older legacy model or like SDLC, or do you want to use an agile method? That's all you're deciding. And you want to see if the whole purpose of sharing your answer with each other is to see if the additional perspective from a peer would change your answer. And then we'll rotate 2 more times until you've had a chance to explain and then provide rationale. Now you're going to get better with each explanation. So by the time you get to the 3rd person in this, you should know exactly what it is you're saying about this. The goal is to flesh out whether we're dealing with a traditional software engineering model or an adaptive model. And that's the first thing we want to settle. So I will stop sharing, we'll set up breakout rooms, and then what you're going to do is take your submission and you can decide amongst yourselves who gets to go first, who gets to contribute or explain their system first, right? Their choice. And remember, the idea is you want to convince them. If everybody compares notes, what do you think? And they're comparing notes about which system is better. If you're open-minded and somebody presents better rationale, then change is okay. As long as you submitted the preference form by the deadline, by the start of this class, we're fine. But the goal now is to take what you recorded on this form and share it and sway people. Part of leadership is convincing someone that, well, yeah, here's why I don't like that. A better way to do this is so-and-so. And what we want to do is see if there's a strong consensus one way or the other between between colleagues. Now, what happens if two students are hard sold on SDLC because they know when they get out of here, they want to work for the VI government with benefits, and they want to work with the IAT department, the Bureau of Information Technology. It's called BIT. Has anyone ever heard of BIT?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right. So the goal is to try to convince each other. And if you have two that say, I want to do SDLC because I want to work for the government, and I want to do things for the US Virgin Islands BIT. And the other two students are saying, well, I don't want to do that. I want to do pair programming. That is a fundamental difference that we hope your review and discussion with each other will develop, right? So the goal is to see, is everybody on the same page? Are there two or three that care to do things differently? And that's what we want to catch today. After that, we'll take a short break. We'll rinse and repeat. We'll do the same thing again with the project of interest, and then we'll talk about language or IDE of preference, right? Integrated development environment of preference. So at this point, I'll stop